Hi everyone, Breanne here. Hope you're all doing well. I'm happy to present to you today the short tip of the month for February 2022. And the short tip is going to be how to color water. Now, this was an interesting topic to try and do because there are just so many ways to color water. You can do water droplets, there's water in a vase, or there's transparency, there's clear water. So there's really just so many diverse ways to tackle this. So I just wanted to pick a preliminary topic for water that maybe can be elaborated on with requests if anyone wants to see transparency or freestanding water or water droplets, or there's just so many ways that you can do this. So what I've done today is I picked a picture from the grayscale, I believe it is sketched landscapes, if I'm not mistaken. And I picked it because it has a good base of water, and I had a large enough section of sky to do reflections onto the water. So I prepped this in the way that I have my light reflections already in the sky, and all I did was fill in my water with my base color. So we're gonna start there and just work in these colors and just kind of make it flow. I did kind of a night sky, kind of evening sky type happening here. So the whole plan was I'm going to be doing water reflections today. So we can reflect the light that is coming in from the sky onto the water. And I'm gonna show you one way that you can accomplish this. So let's get started. Now, I have been using my pastel and my airbrush and my watercolor for the sky. I believe I also used the paintbrush for a little while as well, along with lasers. So I'm going to start with airbrush because I just want to deepen up the color of this water a bit. Because it is night, I feel like the reflections should be more throughout the center of the water, and maybe it might be a little bit darker towards the edge. This is not realistic water, I would say. It's more just for coloring purposes, different ways that you can create different effects on your paintings. I also actually started another one I was thinking about doing for more realistic water effects. Which I picked a grayscale. It's actually a photo. So I was going to color the water. So there's many different ways, like I say, that you can color water. This would be more realistic. So I can maybe pop back and color that as well. But let's start here. So this is more like line work sketch, this kind of illustration. So I just deepened up my color that I actually filled the water in with. So I always have lots of fun doing pictures like this because it allows you to be really creative, because it's somewhat of a realistic picture, but not really. So you can add your own little fantasy touch to it, if you will, which is nice. And that's kind of what I'm doing here today. So I made a light ridge around the water, just kind of giving it a horizon type style look. And I did go around the mountains. I filled them in. I just want to give it like that glowing nighttime look. Okay, so now that I filled it in a little bit darker, you can already see that I'm starting to get a little bit more in-depth look here than just a flat fill. So I'm going to go to my paintbrush, and I have some of the colors that I already used in the sky here. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just very gently follow the lines that are in the sky and put some of that color below. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just nice to get an overall start on that reflection. And water moves and it ripples, and so like I say, it doesn't have to be perfect, just a rough estimate of where those reflections would be. And I have that lovely orange up here. Just want to get those colors into the water, and then we can push them around a little bit and add some more detail. I really do love the pastel for creating a blending type action, and it also, if you push the brush one way, it'll follow through. If you push it back, it kind of grabs color the other way. But it's nice to get a little bit of a stronger blend and stronger color down. So we're just doing a reflection right now. And then I want to blend that reflection with the pastel just by increasing that brush size and going right over top of those reflective colors that I put in there. And I'm using the pastel, like I said, because it blends very nicely. And you can always go in if you took away too much color and just get a little bit more in there. I'm going to follow the ripples a little bit more in this water. So this is more of a fantasy type how to color water. I wouldn't say this is realistic, but you do get a really beautiful effect. But there's all different kinds of painting, and that's where I was coming up with the issue of how exactly I should demonstrate water, because there's just so many ways to color it. So you can see I got my reflection going, and you can even go and pick some lighter colors if you want, just to kind of emphasize the waves a little bit. I'm using the pastel. I just find it blends very well. You can see it looking more like water now. It's just all about blending and getting that nice balance when you're doing reflections. You could even go a step further. The glitter is actually nice to use sometimes. You got to be careful with it though, and just make sure that you're using it a bit sparingly. But you can definitely get some reflections and some sparkle in your water by using the glitter. Can even do some reflections on the mountains over here, because I did fill them in. They actually had room for reflection and light. So it's just all about kind of getting that balance. I do also like to use the blur when I want to add a color, but I don't want it to be so bold, more like in the background. So add a little bit of detail, and then you can blur it out a little bit. That works really well too. And I'm going to use the laser just for, and I'm going to use it on the lighter areas that I colored, just to get a little bit more of a reflection. them seem like they're more faded. And then I'm just going to add a little bit more shadowing around the boat. A little bit around the shoreline, I think. All about the blending. Can do it in the sky a little bit more as well. I like those stars, but in a way I don't, so I can easily blend them so they're lighter. Make the sky a little bit darker. So this is one way that you can create a reflection in the water, and you can even use laser with the colors that are in the sky to add that sheen as well, just to give it a little bit of pop. And it just adds a really nice effect. So then you got your sky with your reflection, and it just looks like a nice night. Just wanted to darken up the sky a little bit, and I tried the stars, but to be honest, I don't care for them all that much. So I'm just blurring them out almost. I think it looks nice, just the color of the sky and the water. So you can also play with this forever and do a bunch of different things, but I think I'm gonna leave it. So this is a way that you can make a really cool fantasy night scene, and then do the reflections for the water. So that's the end result. I pretty much prepped it and got it ready. I used glitter, I used laser, I used pastel, I used airbrush, I used paintbrush. So I love mixing and using those textures and moving them around. I also used watercolor. I pretty much used the full arsenal of tools almost here. I used blur. It just, when you use all these tools together and you layer and you just create these beautiful textures, and I just find it really capturing when you use when I always try to use as much of the tools as I possibly can. It's a new thing that I like to do, because I just find the effects and the before and after results turns out pretty fabulous.